I think the traditional way of thinking about information was, we value information when there is more uncertainty in the market. And that was a very nice view coming from statistics, which had stood the test of time for a century or so. I think some of us asked the question, would the same reduction in uncertainty mean different things to different companies? So for example, how does economics and competition affect the value of information? So a question one could ask is, I'm a vendor of information, I have some better information about customers or my market. Would the larger company in the industry be willing to pay more for it, or would the smaller company in the industry be willing to pay more for it? Would an industry where there is, let's say, a price leader, given my interest in pricing, would that industry be willing to pay more for information than an industry where there is no price leader? And many such. So in essence, what we were trying to do is blend the economics and competition also as drivers of value of information, rather than just looking at it from a simple, pure statistical point of view, which is standard. If there's more uncertainty, information is more valuable. But how does economics and competition and other things drive the value of information? So that was one of the early sort of research to look at really the value of information goods. Most of my work actually deals with pricing and so on, but every 5 years or so I do at least one interesting project on advertising. So several years ago we started looking at a very interesting area of advertising, which is called corporate image advertising. So many companies use corporate image advertising. So for example, some of you may have seen the old GE campaign on "We bring good things to life." Right? And many such companies have a similar kind of a campaign where they don't advertise a particular product or a service, but they just advertise the company's name. And if you look across companies, across industries, some companies really believe in it, and others simply find this to be a total waste of money. And the advertising agencies might say, look, why are you doing this? Why don't you advertise your products as opposed to your name? Nobody's buying you. So if you're Procter & Gamble, nobody buys Procter & Gamble. They do buy, all the soaps and shampoos and so on. So if you ask advertising agencies, they would also be have a very different opinion on whether you should do corporate image advertising or not. So when we looked at the data, that was a significant part of the expenditures of many companies, and others didn't believe in it. So we asked the question, when would it be appropriate for somebody to spend money on corporate image advertising? And when would it be not? So are there some companies who can gain from it and others who cannot? So again, my orientation is very quantitative. So I try to build economic models, OR based models, or management science type of models to understand marketing problems. And the kind of the area we focused here was to apply economics to it. And if you think about it, most of these things are done by multi-divisional companies. And what we showed was that through a nice economic model, that in a multi-divisional company, especially when there are some links across divisions, but each division is sort of evaluated on their own performance, then they would underinvest in advertising. And therefore, it would be appropriate for the company to spend and compensate for that underinvestment and compensate it through corporate image advertising. And then we tested that using CompuStat data, just like our finance colleagues will test it, and showed that the model could predict why some companies should do it and others don't, and why some companies do it and others don't. So that was, I think, a very sort of useful exercise in advertising. Very special area of advertising, but how you can explain when it's appropriate to use it and when it's not.